Café and Networking Podcast promotes successful business owners throughout the world. I'm Tom Reaoch, known as the King of Networking, connecting people from my studio in Brazil. Today we talk with Victoria Noethling, and she's joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. Victoria Noethling is an author, public speaker, coach, speaking and training about leadership, better communication, women in leadership, self-care for living your best life, while improving in-person and online delivery of your message. So Victoria, what are some key attributes today's leaders must develop?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever's listening to this, Tom. I would say the number one thing is that you've got to be a better communicator. You must speak clearly, concisely, and get to the point. People are just so nervous when they get in front of a camera or in a group that they forget those basic things. They might speak too rapidly or stumble with what the flow of their content is. And so the audience is lost. The audience has no idea what their point is and how they can be served by that person that's speaking.
Well, you mentioned that of speaking in audiences and on stage, but what I see, what you're saying is exactly, that's real life in any setting.
Absolutely.
We can meet face-to-face in a networking situation, business setting, in an elevator, as they say. Being clear and concise should work there as well, right?
Absolutely. You must take what we're going to talk about here to life. Whenever you're talking with your spouse, trying to make a point to a teacher or a coworker, trying to pitch a new idea to your manager, all of those things, one-on-one or to groups of thousands, same promise, same process. You've got to be clear and concise and have that in everything you do. Again, if it's a 1-minute pitch, if you will, elevator speech, it still has to have something that captures their attention.
Right.
And then get to the point.
Well, venture capital companies who have billions of dollars to invest, they will give persons 5 minutes to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's no difference if you have a small business, entrepreneur, because that person that you get on the phone or on a text is not going to sit there, especially if you look on emails or on social media and you see this long, bit of content. People aren't going to read that.
Right.
You need in that first couple lines to tell them what they need to know, that they are inspired and motivated to read further or listen more. And people don't do that.
And no, they really don't. And I see that daily. And persons I speak with, you can see that. No, so I want to explain more. Well, you don't need to explain more. Just explain what it is.
Exactly. I think a lot of things that hold us back sometimes in getting to the point is we're trying to think about what that person is expecting to hear. Or we're afraid of what we're going to say isn't going to resonate with them. You have to trust in yourself, be authentic.
I agree, but I think that's to another point. You need to practice what you're going to say.
Oh, gosh, yes, absolutely. And the more that you are consistent in what your message is, the more comfortable you'll be and the better that will come across to the person.
I mentioned that just a couple of days ago to a person. I says, don't speak with your eyes open. Close your eyes and speak.
So
I agree with you. Say authenticity. People want to hear the real you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, when you respond, that's a key thing to remember when you respond to someone. First of all, while they're talking, are you truly listening actively? Are you hearing what they're saying and responding to that? Or are you in your mind thinking of how I can be clever or what is it that I want to put forward? And you're not listening to what they're saying to respond accurately, to really hear their need and be able to answer it.
And to that, are your clients companies? Are they people? Are they people starting companies? Who are they?
So I really focus a lot on that entrepreneur, that small business person. And I work with some companies, but it's really those people that are just starting out because they have the passion of this new idea, this new venture.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to be able to wrangle that passion, but they also have the fear
Right.
of public speaking. They have this great idea, but if you ask them to talk about it, they're so subtle and they're so subdued
Right.
because their fear of talking. What I always tell them, it's you could have written the best content, you could have the best pitch, but if you don't present it in the best way, it's not going to be there. It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
I agree. I couldn't agree more there. And I try to practice what I preach.
Mm-hmm.
But to that point, again, that person, your client, they also need to realize that they are the company.
That's right.
They're the
That's
person
right.
and they're the company. It's all rolled up in one.
It's like when you walk into a store, the first thing you see is what you see, and
Right.
and that reaction and how you feel about it, and all those different emotions. It's the same thing. The first time I open my mouth and start speaking to you, you develop and you're getting these feelings, these emotions. You're making an opinion about me in that first few seconds.
Well,
And what is that?
I agree. They even say even before we open our mouths, people have
Mhm.
made they
Yeah.
made a judgment call.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things I'd like to work with people is to look at their online
Mm-hmm.
persona, and we have this kind of feeling or direction, if you will, that well, I should just be, when I'm authentic, I can be in a t-shirt or in whatever casualness, and I don't think that's wrong if it is still, is this the message you want to put across? If I'm trying to get $1 million deal, am I going to go on into a meeting or online
Right.
with a t-shirt on? Maybe.
Well, unless you started a company that prints T-shirts.
Yeah, that's right. Good job. Yeah, excellent. But so you have to think about that, that
Right.
online, that as soon as you get on camera, can I even see you?
Right.
Or is your lighting so poor or misdirected that you're in the shadows? And so part of what that connection of how you say it is on a video is, am I connecting with your eyes? Can I even see them? Can I see your smile?
Right.
And people don't think about that. They just, first of all, they're so nervous about getting online that they just want to get it over with a lot of times.
Right.
But that's important. Your sound, your lighting, your
comfort, the comfort that
Yeah.
you show.
Oh, sure, that will come across. Maybe that's why they're in the shadows, because they're so
Right.
nervous. And that comes back to what we said earlier. It's the
Right.
practice.
Practice.
The more you do it, the less it becomes
Right.
new. And when it's not new, you can be comfortable with
Right.
it.
And to the 5-minute pitch to venture capital companies, what I would suggest, and I do, is they'll give you 5 minutes, but only take 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
Practice for 4 and give that person that's talking to you 1 minute back.
Yeah.
Because everybody values their time. So if you can make your pitch, be concise, be clear in 4 minutes, you're giving them 1 minute to reflect on what you just said.
Absolutely.
It's not a finish line. And many people rush. They try to jam so many words into a presentation that we get to the end. Sometimes we're not even sure what was said.
Oh, that's one of the things that I always remind folks is you can have a great opening to catch your attention. You could have great points, but you always forget the conclusion. You always forget to tell them that call to action. Why should I care about what you said? And what do you want me to do with it?
Right. So a soft landing is always a safe landing, right?
Oh, yes, for sure. But, and the other piece of this is whenever you talk about authenticity is being consistent in it too. You know, how are you projecting yourself across the various social medias or in the different events that you do? Is it consistent, or are you one person for this group and another person for the other? And now you've confused the audience.
Right. Very good, Victoria. So how can our listeners find you?
You can find me by going to findyourleadershipconfidence.com. Again, that's findyourleadershipconfidence.com. And I would be happy to give you a 30-minute consultation for free if you go there.
Very good. Thanks for your time and thanks for sharing your experience.
It has been a real pleasure, Tom. Thank you for having me.
Okay, and to our audience, it's Victoria Noethling. It's Victoria. She goes by Vicki, and the last name is Noethling. Noethling. Victoria Noethling. FindYourLeadershipConfidence.com. Café and Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at focusmi.com. Thanks for listening. Until the next time here at Café and Networking Podcast.